My best friend stole my startup idea, got rich, and now calls me delusional. Okay, so here's the deal. I, 29M, work in software development, mostly back-end stuff, and I've always had this dream of starting my own thing. Like, not just freelancing or contracting, but building something from scratch. Something that had my name on it. Something I could scale, pitch, grow. I don't come from money, and I didn't go to Stanford or whatever, so yeah, the idea was my ticket out. Enter Tom, 29M. We've been best friends since we were literally 6 years old. Shared bikes, consoles, heartbreaks. He was the guy who punched my bully in middle school and helped me move into my first shitty studio in San Jose. Over the years, we drifted in and out of each other's lives, you know how it is, but we always came back to that brotherly bond. So when I finally had something like an actual working prototype, not just another pipe dream, I told Tom. Because he was the one person I trusted. The idea? A pretty slick app that uses real-time contextual AI to help small creators optimize social media engagement without selling their souls to TikTok trends. It was niche, but growing. I had some code, a basic interface, even some early user testing lined up. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. We were at this shitty Korean barbecue place we always used to go to, 2 Sojus in, and I showed him the prototype on my phone. His eyes lit up like he'd seen a winning lotto ticket. He kept saying, "Dude, this is genius. You're sitting on gold." It felt good to hear, not gonna lie. He asked a bunch of smart questions, gave me feedback that actually helped, and at the end of the night he said, "Don't tell anyone else yet, man. I mean it. This is next level." I laughed. Of course. Who else would I tell? Then he looked me dead in the eye. Promise? I nodded. Promise. That was about 4 months ago. After that night, Tom kind of faded. Like, he didn't ghost me completely, but he was suddenly always busy. Didn't return texts right away. Cancelled hangouts. I figured maybe he was dating someone or grinding at work. I didn't push it. I kept plugging away at the app. I was trying to figure out whether to bootstrap it or pitch it. I even drafted a pitch deck on Notion and started researching accelerators. It felt like I was finally moving. And then last week, I was doom-scrolling Twitter and saw a TechCrunch headline. AI startup Trendly raises $2.5 million to help creators navigate content algorithms. The logo looked oddly familiar. So did the app screenshots in the article. The name? Kinda dumb, but okay, whatever. I clicked. I swear my heart dropped into my ass. The app, his app, was basically my idea. Not 100% copy-paste, but the core concept? The interface layout? The feature roadmap? All the things I told Tom over grilled meat and soju? They were there. In this Trendly thing. And right there in the article photo, shaking hands with some VC douche in a Patagonia vest, was Tom. At first I thought it had to be a mistake. Like maybe we both had similar ideas and I was being paranoid. But no! The more I read, the more I knew. He didn't even change the feature names. He even used a line I wrote in my notes app for the pitch deck. Word. 4. Word. I closed my laptop and just sat there. Cold. It was past midnight, and I couldn't sleep. I haven't slept much since. I haven't confronted him yet. I'm still sitting with it. I screenshotted everything. Backed up all my project files and notes. I even called a lawyer just to ask a few questions. But mostly, I just keep asking myself the same thing over and over again. What the fuck do you do when the one person you trusted most takes your dream and turns it into his payday? I know what you're thinking. I should have gotten him to sign something. A non-disclosure. A founder agreement. Something. Anything. But who does that with their best friend of 20 years? Anyway, I haven't told anyone IRL yet. Not my family. Not my coworkers. I didn't want to go nuclear. I really didn't. That's not who I am. Or at least, that's not who I thought I was. But something about the silence, the way Tom vanished without even bothering to lie, it just made everything worse. It was cowardly. If he'd just picked up the phone and said, "Yeah, man, I messed up," maybe this would have gone another way. But he didn't. So I booked the meeting. I messaged him again, said I needed to see him in person. Not to yell. Just to talk. He finally responded. First message from him in weeks. Just said, "Okay. Tomorrow. 6 p.m. Manny's." Manny's was this diner we used to hit after high school. Cheap burgers, always smelled like grease and stress. Nostalgic, in a sad kind of way. We hadn't been there in years. I got there early. Sat in the booth by the window. Brought a folder with all my notes, screenshots, timelines, not to confront, just to have it on hand in case he tried to gaslight me. I didn't know what I was walking into. Part of me still hoped he'd explain. Say it was a misunderstanding. Offer me a steak, or roll, a damn apology. He showed up 10 minutes late. Looked different. Better dressed. Hair trimmed. Watch on his wrist that cost more than my rent. He slid into the booth across from me, didn't even smile. "Hey," he said. "Hey." We sat in silence for a few seconds before I asked, "So, you got something to say?" He looked out the window for a moment, then back at me. "I knew you'd be pissed. I just didn't know how to handle it." I waited. No apology. Just that. "So you just decided to ignore me? After 20 years? Come on, man. Don't do that guilt trip shit." "It's not a guilt trip, Tom. It's the truth." He sighed and rubbed his forehead like he was the victim here. "You had an idea. A good one. But ideas are cheap, dude. Execution is what matters." I blinked. "You mean my execution? The prototype I showed you? The roadmap you copied?" He didn't deny it. Not even a flinch. "You didn't do anything with it. I was literally in the middle of building it. And I finished it." That's when I felt my hands clench under the table. He leaned back and crossed his arms. "Look, I'm not saying I handled it well. But I saw an opportunity and I took it. It's business." "You mean theft?" He laughed, like I was being dramatic. "Call it what you want. I call it winning." I stared at him. This wasn't the guy I grew up with. This was some shark-skin version of him. All ambition, no conscience. "You used to say we were like brothers," I said. "What happened to that?" He shrugged. "Brothers grow up. You think Zuckerberg shared stock with every kid he talked to in college?" At that point I just sat back. I realized I wasn't going to get anything real from him. No remorse. No clarity. Just this sanitized, polished detachment. So I pulled out the folder. Set it on the table. "I'm taking legal action." He didn't even blink. "Do what you gotta do." "You sure you want to go down that road?" "I already did. You're the one playing catch up." He slid out of the booth and tossed a 20 on the table. "Good luck, man. I hope this makes you feel better." Then he laughed. Just like that? I sat there for a long time. Didn't touch my coffee. Just watched the window steam up. I walked home with the folder under my arm, my brain on fire. I didn't want it to be like this. I didn't want to burn bridges. But he didn't leave me a choice. He didn't just steal an idea. He threw away our history like it meant nothing. I sent everything to the lawyer the next day. Signed the retainer. We filed the initial paperwork by the end of the week. Word got around fast. Aaron messaged me. "Dude, what's going on with you and Tom?" Others started reaching out too. Old college friends. People from work. Most were neutral. A few sent vague "hope you're okay" texts. But then I saw a post from Tom on LinkedIn. A polished photo of him in some accelerator, smiling, shaking hands with mentors. And in the caption, "Ignore the noise. Let your work speak for itself." That's when I knew this was going to get ugly. So I spent the next day in this weird headspace where I kept trying to convince myself I was overreacting. Like, maybe there's some explanation I'm not seeing. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm projecting. It could happen, right? Two guys with similar interests, talking all the time, ideas overlap, it's not unheard of. Maybe Tom had this idea in the back of his head all along, and I just helped him clarify it. That would still suck, but it wouldn't be betrayal. Not exactly. At least that's what I tried to tell myself. But deep down, I knew. Because I didn't just pitch some vague concept to Tom that night. I showed him flowcharts, a working interface, even some back-end logic I'd been refining over months. I had a name for the app, he didn't even bother changing it much. I had user personas mapped out, potential monetization strategies, early feedback from 2 micro-influencers I knew through a Discord group. It wasn't just an idea. It was already in motion. And what I saw in that TechCrunch article, it wasn't inspired by. It was a goddamn duplicate with a slightly better font and corporate polish. So I did what any paranoid person does when they feel the world tilting beneath them. I obsessively researched. I read that article a dozen times. Took screenshots. Then I signed up for the app itself using a dummy email. I went through the onboarding. It was my onboarding. The content pulse scoring tool was exactly the same. Even the bug I had in the draft saving function, it was still there. Not fixed. Not recoded. Just ported. I wanted to throw up. I messaged him again. Me, Tuesday, 1:13 p.m. Hey. Can we talk? Me, Tuesday, 6:45 p.m. Congrats on the app launch, I guess. Me, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Tom? Come on, man. Nothing. Silence. No read receipts. No reply. Total ghost. Then I tried Twitter DMs. Still nothing. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. By Friday, I was spiraling. I couldn't focus at work. I was snapping at people in Slack, barely responding to Jira tickets. I hadn't eaten much. Every time I looked at my phone, I felt like I was watching a part of my life disappear. So I called Aaron, a mutual friend from college. Chill dude, neutral territory. We hadn't talked in months, but I played it cool and asked if he'd heard from Tom lately. He goes, "Oh yeah, he's killing it. You saw the TechCrunch thing, right? Trendly? That's his." I said yeah. He goes, "Wild, right? Dude always said he sucked at tech, and now he's running some AI company. Guess he figured it out, huh?" And I'm just sitting there, trying not to scream into the receiver, thinking, he figured it out by stealing my work, Aaron. And then it hit me, Tom didn't code a single damn line. He never did. He always leaned on me for that. So yeah, he probably hired devs. Outsourced the build. Used my notes, my sketches, my roadmap, and handed it to someone else to finish. Now he's out there playing the role of genius founder, doing interviews and shaking hands with investors, while I'm refreshing my Gmail like a desperate ex. So I started gathering receipts. Everything I could possibly think of. The original pitch deck in Notion, with timestamps, Screenshots of our convos the night I showed him the prototype. Early commits in GitHub, dated months back. My app design docs in Figma. A journal entry where I literally told Tom about the app tonight. He seemed excited. I even found a text where he said, "Man, this is all you. I'd invest if I had money." That aged well. I called the lawyer again. I said, "I don't have a contract, but I have proof this idea was mine. Can I still do something?" He was honest. Said it'd be hard, but not impossible. Might come down to whether I can prove misuse of intellectual property or breach of verbal agreement. Either way, he'd need to see everything. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that dinner in my head. The way he looked at me. The way he said, "Don't tell anyone else." How fucking ironic that is now. By Sunday night, I was done hoping. I messaged him one last time. "We need to talk. Not as friends. Not as bros, I'm serious now." Still nothing. It's not just the betrayal. It's the erasure. Like I never existed in this. No credit. No thank you. Just silence. As if I was never part of the genesis at all. And now I'm stuck in this limbo where everyone thinks he's some visionary disruptor, while I sit alone in a dim apartment eating cup noodles and questioning my own sanity. People say business is cutthroat. Fine. But I didn't expect it to come from him. I expected it from some random VC trying to squeeze me. Not the kid who sat next to me in detention in 8th grade because we both flipped off the substitute. So yeah. I'm going to keep talking to the lawyer. I'm going to document everything. I might file. I don't even know what winning would look like. But I know I can't let this go without a fight. The lawsuit made it real. Once the papers were served, there was no going back. It wasn't just a private mess between two old friends anymore, it became public. Suddenly, I wasn't Eric, the guy working on a cool project. I was Eric, the bitter guy suing his ex-best friend. People chose sides. Quietly at first. Then less quietly. The worst part? Tom was winning the PR game. He had a head start. While I was scrambling to pull together evidence and legal arguments, he was already shaping the narrative. I saw an article on Medium from one of his investor buddies, painting him as a self-made founder who'd pivoted from creative burnout to startup brilliance. Another from a startup blog that quoted him saying, "People want to tear you down once you succeed. But we don't stop building." That one stung. I was still working my full-time job during all this, trying not to completely unravel. But my focus was gone. I was checking Twitter constantly, watching as Trendly picked up traction. The app hit 100K downloads in less than a month. Tom got invited to speak at a panel. Someone I knew from undergrad tagged me in a post like, "Wait, didn't Eric work on something like this a while ago?" "Yeah. I did. Thanks." Then the text started. At first it was people asking what happened. Then it got uglier. Screenshots of messages Tom had sent to mutual friends started circulating. Stuff like, "Eric's bitter because he couldn't execute," or "He's trying to shake me down." One message said, "We all know who had the vision and who didn't." I wanted to scream. I wanted to take my laptop and smash it. Instead, I just sank into myself. I stopped answering calls. Skipped work meetings. Barely left my apartment. My lawyer kept me focused. He was sharp, no BS. Told me straight up, "If you want to win this, you need to give me everything. Every message, every draft, every scrap. We have to show pattern, not just a single betrayal." So I did. I gave him access to old backups, design files, even voice memos where I talked through feature ideas. We pulled timestamps, IP logs, everything. It was tedious. Painful. But I had to believe it would pay off. And then discovery hit. His team sent us their documents. That's when I saw it, a pitch deck from before Trendly launched, with my slides modified, but obviously lifted from my deck. I saw a screenshot of one of my prototype screens, still bearing a dev label I had used internally. They hadn't even fully scrubbed it. It was my smoking gun. We sent a demand letter for settlement. No response. So depositions were scheduled. I sat across from Tom for the first time since that diner. Under oath, no charm, no jokes. Just a guy trying to act like he didn't know me. Like I hadn't let him sleep on my floor when he got kicked out of his apartment sophomore year. His lawyer objected to half the questions. Tom played it cold. But I could see his jaw clench when I brought up specific texts. When I read out the one where he said, "This app is gonna make you rich, bro." I asked him, if it was mine, why did you launch it alone? He said, because you weren't ready. And the court reporter just typed it all up like it wasn't the most devastating thing I'd ever heard. Outside of court, things kept crumbling. My boss called me in one afternoon, said, "We support you, but this is a distraction." Translation, I was being phased out. I wasn't surprised. Just numb. 2 days later, they let me go. Restructuring. I went home and just sat on the floor of my apartment, surrounded by boxes of legal documents and half-eaten takeout. It felt like every part of my life was unraveling while Tom kept ascending, grinning on stage somewhere. I got drunk that night. Texted him. "Me, you ruined my life." "Me, you know you did." "Me, all for some fucking app." He never replied. Of course not. The trial date was set. 6 months out. My lawyer said that was normal. Said we'd have time to prep. I nodded like I was listening, but all I could think about was how I used to send Tom memes at 2 a.m., how he knew the names of my childhood pets, how we once spent a whole summer building a game together in Flash. He didn't just steal my code. He hijacked my history. People kept telling me, "Don't let this break you." Too late. I was already broken. Trial week came faster than I expected. It was like watching a storm roll in over the ocean, slow at first, distant thunder, and then suddenly it's above you, ripping everything apart. The courtroom was sterile and cold, just beige walls and gray suits. But to me, it felt like walking into the final round of something I never wanted to enter in the first place. Tom sat across from me, flanked by his lawyers, looking calm. Polished. A little too polished. His hair was perfect. Suit sharp. Like this was just another investor pitch. I tried not to look at him. Tried to pretend we were strangers. That this wasn't a guy who once cried in my car after his mom got sick. The trial itself was brutal. Day after day of testimony, emails read aloud, technical breakdowns, expert witnesses. My lawyer was solid, precise, clinical, relentless. Tom's team pushed back hard. Tried to paint me as unstable. Said I was obsessed. That I'd let go of the project and was now trying to latch onto Tom's success out of jealousy. There were moments when I doubted myself. Sitting on the witness stand, answering questions while a dozen people scribbled notes. I remember one lawyer asking me, if this idea was so valuable, why didn't you do more with it? And I wanted to scream, because I trusted him. Because I thought we were building it together. But instead I said, because building something alone takes time. I didn't have a team. He did. Mine. On the third day, my lawyer introduced the prototype screenshots with the dev labels. He laid out the Slack messages, the timestamps, the wireframes from my original repo. One of our mutual friends even testified. Aaron, surprisingly, said he remembered me talking about the idea well before Trendly existed. That he saw me show it to Tom. That helped. Tom never looked directly at me once during the trial. Not when I testified. Not when we passed in the hallway. I don't know if it was guilt or just strategy. Maybe he thought eye contact would weaken his image. Maybe he just stopped seeing me as a person altogether. The final statements were a blur. I sat there, numb, feeling like I was underwater. I kept thinking about all the years we spent side by side. All the trust. All the small things. Like the time he covered for me when I missed a final. Or when I lent him money for his car repair and never asked for it back. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted recognition. Validation. To know that I wasn't crazy. That I mattered in the story he was telling. When the verdict came, it wasn't clean. The judge ruled partially in my favor. Acknowledged that I had originated the core idea, contributed substantial early-stage development, and that Tom had used those materials without consent. I was awarded a financial settlement, low six figures. Not nothing. But not millions either. Tom kept the company. People say court wins feel satisfying. This didn't. It felt like a participation trophy for surviving betrayal. I walked out of that courtroom with a check, a lawyer patting my back, and no idea what the hell to do next. The press caught on. A few tech blogs wrote about it. Founder disputes settled. One said, innovator compensated after legal battle. But it was already out of the news cycle by the weekend. Trendly kept trending. Tom did a podcast interview about resilience. Called it a tough year. Didn't mention me. The money sat in my account like guilt. I didn't spend it. Not at first. I moved out of my apartment, got a smaller place. Started freelancing again. Took on weird gigs of voice bots, data cleanups, even some crypto thing I didn't fully understand. I kept my head down. Months passed. I'd occasionally check Trendly's site, then close the tab before I got too deep. One time I saw a new feature, one that I had dreamed up but never coded. It hurt. But less than before. One night I went to an old friend's birthday party. Just a few of us, nothing big. Someone mentioned Tom. I shrugged. Didn't say much. After the party, I walked home through quiet streets and realized I hadn't thought about him all day until that moment. That was something. I still don't know what I feel. Victory? No. Relief? A little. Anger? Definitely. Regret? More than I'd admit out loud. Sometimes I wonder if I should have let it go. If the fight was worth it. I lost a friend. My reputation took a hit. I burned bridges. And all I got was a courtroom verdict and a chunk of money that feels more like hush pay than justice. But then I remember that moment in the diner. Him saying, "It's just business." And I remember thinking, if that's business, I want nothing to do with it. So I'm done. I'm not watching any more interviews. Not reading more headlines. I'm rebuilding, slowly. Maybe I'll try again someday with something new, something mine. Or maybe I won't. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Even when someone steals your work, your time, your trust, no one can steal your voice. Unless you let them. So here I am. Telling you all of this. Was I the asshole for suing someone I once called my brother? You tell me.